Oh, yeah. Five-star. LSU. I said, they ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU, huh? They ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU. We the best in the league if you looking for talent. LSU going hard, but we beat Alabama, then we going out to Florida. Drown the Gators, everybody getting bucked when we step in the stadium. This the LSU anthem, you know it's a hit. You don't know another rapper two-step like this. See me screaming out the window, yelling purple and gold. I'm an LSU fan, girl, you know how we roll now. Back and back it on up. Hey, 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 way down in the back.
We are live Friday night here in the Tigers Avenue. It's a good place to be, Zach. Good place to be.
It's Friday, so yeah, of course it's great.
There's a former Tiger that's out there cooking right now, Zach. Mr. Arenola's back on the bump for the Phillies. Got a big lead. About knocked my mic over there. They jumped out to a big lead on the Braves, and Arenola's doing what he's doing, putting a big 0 up on the board. Zach, I got a pretty cool story to share.
Okay.
Found something out today that I did not know, and I got to share it. So,
it's story time with Reagan.
Yeah, story time with Reagan here to open the show. So, back last semester, right? Obviously, I'm still in college. For those of you who don't know, I know some of you do. Minoring in history. My minor here at Williams Baptist is in history. So I'm signing up for classes. I signed up for this history class for Russia, and it's with one of the normal history professors here. Actually, the chair of the history department. Yeah, Mother Russia. Well, unfortunately, maybe fortunately, I don't know, because that professor's kind of difficult. He took another job at another school. So the class changes, and we get a different professor. I'm now taking 20th century Europe with Dr. Kenneth Startup. Dr. Kenneth Startup is a retired history professor, retired from Williams, and there's actually a building here that's named after him. He is actually a professor emeritus. I know some of you may not know what that means. That's just like an honorary thing for a professor when they retire. Not every professor that retires gets professor emeritus. It's kind of an esteemed honor for someone who retires. Well, he agreed to, in his retirement, come fill in for the semester while they look for someone to fill the spot and teach a few classes. Well, he's a great historian, Zach, and I love his teaching. Like, honestly, enjoy the class, love going to the class. He's this very charismatic guy, super awesome. Here's why he's so awesome. It's where he got his education from, okay? It's probably why he's such a good teacher. Dr. Kenneth Startup gets his PhD in history from none other than Louisiana State University.
Go Tigers.
So,
that's pretty cool.
So, we're like in class. We like this guy. We kind of looked him up because we knew he had written a few history books. Well, we run into across his education. We see he gets his bachelor's from West Georgia. We say, he got his master's from Virginia Tech, and then we saw we got his PhD from LSU. So me and my Bobby, who's another friend of ours, that's a LSU friend who's done a few things with the show. We're like, hey, might as well ask him. I mean, we're thinking this guy's just like, he just got his PhD there, right? Like, that's just where he wanted to get his education from. Well, come to find out, the dude's like an LSU fanatic. Has ties to LSU from a long, long time ago, and is a huge LSU fan. And we got to talking to him, about the football hire, about, whatever. We're like, hey, you watch football? And he's like, do I? He's like, I'm a fanatic. And so, of course, I told him about our show. And so this is all kind of like, wow,
That's
this
cool.
is awesome. Well, come to find out, the dude a long time ago watched was watching or had attended, one of the tournament games when Dale Brown was the coach for the basketball team. Now, I have been searching for this photo, and I've yet to find it. And he said you won't be able to find it. And he's right. So far, I've not been able to find it. He said that he got tickets.
Our listeners.
Yes. So maybe some of our listeners can help me go find this photo. Look up Kenneth Startup. You'll see his photo. You'll see all of his history books and whatnot, and then go try to find this photo. Okay? So he said he got tickets to a game behind the Tigers bench. And he said NBC took a photo of him kind of going crazy behind the bench when I guess something happened in the game. And he was going nuts. He said it's the most humiliating photo that has ever been taken of him. And he said that NBC used this photo as the promo for when LSU made it to the Final Four in that tournament.
He must have had his shirt off, slinging it or something like that.
I don't know, but he said it's the most humiliating photo that has ever been taken of him. And he said it was completely embarrassing. And it's freaking NBC, Zach. Like, this is a national network. Even a long time ago, this was a national network. And this guy's face is being plastered all over the nation for the Final Four promo.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. He said for years, anytime, he'd go to a Tigers game, a whatever, they'd be like, hey, you're the fan from the Final Four promo. And he said, thankfully, the photo has been lost in history. He said that his grandkids have sworn that they will find it one day so that they can humiliate and embarrass him once again. But this photo is somewhere out there. It's got to be. And I want to find it because I want to know what old Dr. Startup.
Find it.
Oh, 60-year-old Dr. Startup was doing behind the Tigers bench.
Reagan, if you find it, if we find it, you're going to definitely have to show them.
Oh, I got to. I will. If I
need
find
help
it,
from our listeners, from our viewers and our listeners, if you're listening on audio podcast, you've listened to the story. Go find the photo.
Look up Kenneth Startup.
If you find it, DM it to us on our Twitter or our Instagram.
Get this. If you find that photo and send it to me, we will send you one free item from the merch store.
Oh, shoot.
If you help me find this photo, we will give you one free item from the merch store. I need to find that photo. But yeah, if I find it, I'm showing it to you. But you can look up Dr. Kenneth Startup.
Wow.
Probably the first thing that'll pop up is Williams Baptist page and his picture. So click on that. Look at his face. Familiarize yourself with Dr. Kenneth's face. And then go find the photo. And if you find it and you send it to us, one free item from the merch store. So that is my story of the day. Right. I mean, kind of a cool story, but wasn't expecting that at all. I totally was expecting to come up to him and he'd be like, well, I just got my PhD from there.
Yeah, I just went there.
Come to find out, he's like this LSU fanatic. And he's got some family ties to LSU from even further than that.
Ryan's on the hunt.
Hey, go find it. Go find it. I can't remember he didn't say what year or who we were playing, but he said that it was when Dale Brown was the coach, and it was one of the years we made it to the Final Four. So work your magic. So, anyways, that's my cool story for the day.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was absolutely. Zach, real quick, I do want to say, hey, we've been seeing there's a bunch of viewers on Twitter. We don't mind you watching on Twitter, but if you want to comment something, and we do want to have y'all interact in our comment section, we want to get to your comments. Twitter's comments don't come through our software here. So if you would either go to YouTube or Facebook, whichever one you prefer, it does not matter, and come on here and comment. We'll get to your comment. We'll interact. We'll respond to your comments. So please do so if you're watching on Twitter.
Speaking of comments, your wife's in here.
Yes, my wife
She's carrying your second child.
Carrying my second child.
She's carrying your second child, and she's watching your show. You deserve to make her some dinner or something.
Yeah, well, she's not here tonight, so she's gone for the weekend. She's on a girls' trip, so I'm kind of surprised she's actually watching. I figured she'd be off doing something. But yes, McKenna's amazing. Obviously, she's carrying our second child, a boy. I mean, obviously, you know that now.
Yes,
Zach.
I do. I do know that now.
Had another boy. Yes, another little tiger.
It runs in the Lee family. The next you'll have is a girl.
Hopefully so.
It's always boy, boy, girl, or boy, boy, girl, boy. That's usually what it is. That's
what we're hoping for.
Every time happens all the time. So yeah, you'll probably.
So in other words, what you're saying is McKenna and I mean, after this one, we're just going to have to try again if we want another girl.
Yep.
You heard it here. You heard it here, McKenna. All right, Zach. I mean, obviously that was a cool story and whatnot, and I would be thrilled if they found that photo.
I tell you what, I will clip it. I'll clip the story, and we'll post it.
We got to make that a short.
We'll make it a short. That way, people can go find it and try and get some free merch.
Absolutely. So, anyways, but people are here for the Florida game this weekend. Obviously, we need to preview that. We need to hustle because I know Zach's got a ball game to get to. It's Friday night football. Hopefully, some of y'all are enjoying some good Friday night football games. Obviously, down in Louisiana, we know you are. But Zach, what are your initial thoughts for this weekend and previewing this game?
So, obviously, last weekend was not a lot of fun. But it was something that I had predicted. I didn't think it would be that bad, but it ended up the way that it did. Yeah. Fortunately, I think LSU. I have a lot of confidence for LSU coming into this game. Florida is also a team that has really struggled. I understand the record 4-2, not a bad record. But LSU and Florida, they seem to be a lot alike. They have a lot of inconsistencies. They've had their ups, they've had their downs. Obviously Florida week 1 beat Utah at Florida. Nobody expected it. Nobody predicted it except your boy. And then they've struggled against teams like USF and Missouri. Of course, lost to Tennessee. Who else they lose to? I'm going blank real quick. They lost to Tennessee, and who else? I'm going blank. I think it was Kentucky. It was Kentucky. What?
Yeah, Kentucky.
They lost to Tennessee. They lost to Kentucky. So they've had their inconsistencies. LSU obviously lost to Florida State. Nobody really expected that. They thought LSU would win that game. They beat State, who right now looks really good.
Really, really good.
Really good. So
that win looked really good on the record.
But I think Florida probably has a little bit more of the edge there on big wins. But all that to say, I'm confident because I think LSU, when you look at both sides of the ball, like defensively, LSU kind of wins that battle. LSU has the better defense. Statistically, I found out today, Reagan, Florida is actually one of the worst in the nation in third down efficiency on defense. Wow. They give up over 60% of third down conversions.
Whew.
Over 60%. I watched a little bit of the Florida-Missouri game, and I know there was a couple instances where they had them backed up in 3rd and long, and Florida allowed them to convert. LSU has not been the greatest at converting on 3rd down conversions. Yeah. So one of those has got to give. I'm hoping it is LSU's offense and that they end up being the ones that are able to convert. We're going to have to wait and see. The other thing I like about this, and this is really a massive, massive thing for me, is that you get Will Campbell back. And Florida's defense has shown that they are susceptible to the run. They can get run on. And LSU needs to do that. They need to establish the run. I understand how bad the game was last week, but I think you found a little bit of something. You didn't find it, but you found a little bit of something in the passing game this past weekend versus in the loss against Tennessee. I mean, Jaden had 300 yards. He had the interception. He really should have had 2 touchdowns because Malik dropped the one in the corner there at the end of the game. So, but I don't know, Reagan, just in my gut, as a fan, sometimes you have those feelings of I feel like it's going to be a good game, or I feel like it's going to be a bad game. I was not confident against Tennessee. I just wasn't. I was not confident.
Sure.
And unfortunately, it worked out the way that it did. But coming in this game, I'm confident. Just as a fan, I feel confident in this game. Now, the biggest thing is for me defensively for LSU is you got to stop Anthony Richardson. They don't have really any really massive threat at wide receiver. They got the kid that transferred from Florida State, but really he's their best guy, and he was like number 2, number 3 at Florida State whenever he was there. Arizona State. He was like number 2, number 3 whenever he was there at Arizona State, and even Arizona State doesn't really have a lot of guys there at wide receiver. But he's their number 1 guy. And offensively, I think they really rely on Anthony Richardson. I mean, that team goes as Anthony Richardson goes. And he's been extremely inconsistent. I think this game bodes well for LSU because you're going to be able to put linebackers in there like Harold Perkins and Micah Baskerville that are just see ball, hit ball. See ball, go. Like their objective in this game is going to be harass the quarterback. And I think that bodes well for LSU. Also, I also found out today that Osiris Torrance is questionable for this game. And he's their best. Huge. He is their best offensive lineman against our really good defensive front. So, a lot of those things, and of course, we'll discuss the TA tools for success, but a lot of those things make me feel confident. What I really want to see, though, in this game, I'm not going to put this in my TA tools for success, but what I really want to see in this game is I want to see the wide receivers make plays, because the wide receiver room has been kind of a letdown this season. They arguably were the best unit. It was either them or the defensive line front coming into the season, and they have been a letdown because they have struggled with catching the ball. And so I would love to see them take a step up this game. I'm just constantly asking myself, like, when is Kayshawn going to break out? Like, when are we going to see a receiver that has a 100-yard game? And we just haven't seen it yet. And maybe that's just not this team. Maybe because they have so many different guys in so many different areas, and they disperse the ball the way that they do, that we're just not going to see that. But I want to see that. I want to see some receivers take a step up. And I think that this could be that game. And if you win here, if you win in this game, you win on the Swamp, that's massive. It's massive because you got a top 10 team in Ole Miss coming to your place next weekend. Yep. And so I feel like, Reagan, this is a must win for the Tigers on whether or not this season could look more like a 8-4, 7-5 record, or if it's a 6-6 record. I do think LSU is going to get 6 wins. I do. Of course, they got UAB. I feel confident that out of Ole Miss, Florida, Arkansas, A&M, that they at least get one of those. I feel confident.
Yeah.
But if you win this one, the possibility of going 8-4, I think, drastically increases. I really do. So I love that it's a night game. I'm excited. I know it's going to be a hostile crowd for LSU, but
a good environment. Yeah,
I think they'll play better. And I hope that they are just pumped up for this game after what happened last weekend. After getting demoralized, I hope they come out and just compete.
Yep. Here's my preview for the game. I think LSU. This is my hot take for the game. I think LSU plays its best game of the year Saturday. I think we watched LSU's best game so far Saturday. And I 100% agree. I was just about to say that with Tiger Den. I feel like LSU matches up really good with Florida. LSU does match up really well with Florida. It is a favorable match for LSU. Because of that, LSU has its best game so far this season. And I think so far State is your best game, your best win. I think you have like a complete performance Saturday, and I think you get a massive road win. Therefore, I think it is your best game, going to be your best game so far this season. And I think it's going to be your best game played. Here's why. Florida is very one-dimensional. Very one-dimensional. They're going to lean, like you said, on Anthony Richardson, and they're going to lean heavily on their two backs. I'm drawing a blank on the other guy's name, but Trevor Etienne, not Travis. Trevor Etienne and the other running back, I'm drawing a blank on his name. They're going to lean heavily on those guys, and they have all year because their passing game is not there. And I like LSU's defensive front and how they have done well. You're muted. I can't hear what you're saying.
Montrell Johnson, sorry.
Montrell Johnson. Yeah,
He's
no
the
problem.
other running back.
Yeah, Montrell Johnson and Trevor. Obviously, they run them a lot. Their run game is really good. Why? Because they have a really good offensive line. LSU is going to have a tough task against this offensive line. If Osiris is out, that's a huge loss for Florida. That's their best offensive line. But this offensive line is very good for Florida. They have a great offensive line, and that's why they've been able to run pretty effectively all season long. Passing game just isn't there for Florida. Anthony Richardson struggles really bad in the passing game.
7 interceptions, only 5 touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, lots of interceptions. I mean, there was one point, Zach, what did he have, like 4 interceptions and no touchdowns at the beginning of the season?
Well, 4 touchdowns. 4 of the touchdowns came against Tennessee.
Tennessee, right. Probably played his best game against Tennessee. So this matchup for LSU's defense is going to be really good because our run defense, I think, has been very well with Wingo and Roy. And obviously, because of the scheme last week, you didn't see a lot of Perkins and Baskerville, but you're going to see a lot of, according to Brian Kelly, of Perkins and probably Baskerville, because this is their type of game. I mean, Zach, you hit it on the head there. Like you see the ball, you go get it, right? Or go get the quarterback. You're going to have to contain Anthony Richardson from making some whatever play. We got to be prepared for that. But I think because they're so one-dimensional offensively, LSU's defense is going to have a great game. I really think our defense excels in the game Saturday. Offensively, I loved what I saw from the passing game this past Saturday. I mean, the game was what it was, but Jaden took a lot more tight shot, tighter windows. He let it fly a little bit, and I mean, maybe some of that's because you were one-dimensional on Saturday. You couldn't run the ball. So I do want to see balance in this game. I want to see a run game out of Josh Williams and John. But I also want to see that pass game continue. And I would say, Zach, the reason we haven't seen such a breakout game is because the explosive plays have not been there. I mean, LSU's receivers are known for just big explosive plays. Kayshawn had, big games because of explosive plays. And look, there was a play last week. I can't remember who was breaking down the film, but I was watching some film breakdown, and the route scheme was perfect. Kayshawn came off the line, was running a post across the middle of the field, and then I believe it was either Dre or BTJ. They both kind of ran a post going the same way, and the safety, the kind of like the center field safety, was in the middle of the field. Kayshawn beat his guy and had him beat like completely, like wide open beat. So the safety in the center field, if he drops back to Kayshawn, he's leaving Jure or BTJ, whichever one it was, wide open. Or if he closed in on Jure and BTJ, whoever it was, Kayshawn was wide open. It was a perfectly schemed play and route because Kayshawn, dusted his guy. So it was literally 2-on-1 in center field. Jaden, though, got a little antsy because the right side, no surprise, right? Or excuse me, the left side of the pocket collapsed in. No surprise last week, obviously, because Will Campbell and Garrett Dellinger went down, kind of closed in. And instead of shifting with the pocket, he took off out of the pocket. Now, I will say he had time to look up the field, but he still had more time to see that opportunity. Like, you literally had 2-on-1. Kayshawn had beat his guy. If you just got to look the safety off, and you literally have a touchdown out of that play, and it would have been a massive touchdown play because he was standing on like the 15-yard line, and they were streaking across the middle of the field. So it had been, like a 85-yard touchdown. Like, Kayshawn was wide stinking open. So I want to see the explosive play. Jaden has to be looking for the explosive play. He's got to hold on to the pocket just a little bit longer so those deep routes can make their cuts and they can develop. Hold on just a little bit longer. Last week, the intermediate to like middle, maybe a little bit longer than I would say a middle route, he was hitting some of them, and Jure dropped a touchdown on one of them. But those deep routes, he's not going for it. Like, I don't remember the last time he stepped back and just dialed up the launch codes on one, right? Like, I want you to tear the top off, dude. Like, let it fly. You got some guys out there that can go make plays. Let them do it. Build some confidence. So anyways, I think that's why you're seeing maybe not the 100-yard gains from receiver. Yeah. You're seeing like five different guys or 4 different guys, and they're sitting around like 40, 50, 60. Malik, I think, got up to 80 last week. So nobody's tearing the top off. Well, they're not. He's not letting it fly. He's got to hold on in the pocket just a little bit longer. Yeah. And the offensive line has got to hold on just a little bit longer for him to have the confidence to do that. But anyways, so I like the matchup of our defense against their offense. I think if our offense establishes a run and they do what they did last week in the passing game, I think you're going to have a really great day, and it's going to be a really good day for the Tigers. So I really do think LSU has their best game Saturday because this matchup favors LSU so well. Yeah. And like you said, the receivers for Tennessee, McCoy, Hyatt, they didn't have Tillman, but Tillman, I mean, your DBs are good, but they're not great. And those receivers were great, really good. Your DBs aren't quite good enough to just go out on an island and win one-on-one battles with guys like that, with a quarterback throwing dimes the way he is. With Florida, you don't have to worry about that. Your DBs are good enough to win this game. Yeah. Because they don't have the elite receivers that Tennessee has. They don't have the elite quarterback that they're and honestly, they're going to lean really, really, really heavy on the run. So you're probably going to see a lot of Joe Fouché at safety too this week, whereas you didn't see it as much because he's a in the box type of guy. So I like that matchup for LSU Florida this week. Zach, what do we if the defense runs into trouble, what's going wrong and why? Like, how do we like in this game? I know that's kind of a random question, but we're sitting here thinking this is a great matchup for LSU's defense. Well, let's say come Saturday or come tomorrow, LSU's defense is struggling. What's happening for them to struggle?
For me, I think it would be that they are getting physically dominated up front. Because as you said, they do have a good offensive line, and Florida,
they do.
Florida likes to be physical. They're a very physical football team. And so even though our defensive line is one of our strengths, if they're getting bullied up front and they're able to run the ball, which is what they've been doing a lot this season. I mean, they've been doing well at running the football. they're going to get in trouble because that's going to wear down LSU's defense. And not only is it going to wear down LSU's defense, but LSU is going to have to adjust and end up stacking the box, which is going to leave your not great but okay secondary vulnerable. So LSU needs to make them one-dimensional. They need to make them pass the ball. They need to take away the run game. But if they're getting physically dominated up front, it's going to be a long night for the LSU defense. So yeah, that'd be my biggest concern for sure. I'm interested.
What I don't
go ahead.
Well, what I don't want to see is Bo Nix, Robbie Ashford all over.
Yeah, no,
because
you can't have it again.
That's stinking what Anthony Richards can do to you.
Yep.
I mean, if he starts scrambling, if he starts extending the play, coming out of the pocket, running around, and then your DBs and your safeties like check up on him, like, is he going to run, or they commit to him running, leave guys wide open. That's exactly what happened with Bo Nix last year. It's exactly what happened with Robbie Ashford a few weeks ago. That is the most frustrating thing.
Don't break contain.
That's what I'm hoping they're coaching him up about this week, because Anthony Richardson has that ability. He's not the best quarterback, but if you leave a dude wide stinking open, you know what I mean? Like you can't leave him wide open, or he probably will hit the guy, just like Robbie Ashford did several times. So I'm hoping they're going over some contain. Hey, don't overcommit. Don't sell out on him if he comes out of the pocket. Him rolling, like, stick with your guy, and then if he does, indeed run, go contain him, and hopefully, your second level guys, Baskerville, Perkins, Jones, Penn, hopefully they're containing long enough to where your third level, they can come in and help you contain, and maybe finish the job. We've seen Greg Brooks, fly in and finish a few guys off. How about Greg Brooks, man?
He's been impressive.
Yeah, he's been one of your most impressive guys.
He might. He's arguably right now, early in the season, like defensive MVP for me. Like,
oh yeah.
There's a lot of guys that have been very consistent as well, but he has been solid. He's played above expectations.
Oh, 100%. And hey, Louis was right. He said, we had Louis on a while back. It's been a good while since we had Louis on here, but he's an Arkansas fan, and he gave you his take on Fouché and Brooks, and he told us, he said, I don't think Brooks has hit his ceiling yet.
Yeah.
And I think he's showing that.
For sure.
And I think Louis was 100% correct, because I think he's tapped another level here at LSU that Arkansas fans aren't able to enjoy anymore. So, but I've been impressed with him so far this season. But I sure as heck don't want to have this game where Florida is taking advantage of LSU, him rolling out, scrambling, moving around, and then that game is it's going to become very frustrating. It's going to get really annoying because I can't stand a quarterback running around, burning a whole bunch of time, then like dumping it off to a guy who's wide open. And he runs down the field for like 30 yards, 40 yards, sometimes a touchdown. It's the most frustrating thing. All right, Zach, I think we need to get to a few comments here, and then we'll hit a quick break, and then we'll come back and do our TA's tool for success. We got a good big comments in here coming in.
Before we do that, though, we are going to get the comments. LSU, 2.5-point underdog.
Oh, yes, we do need to get our predictions.
Close. But FPI has them as a 62.7% favorite to win the game. So kind of similar to last week, Tennessee, where Vegas has you as a slight underdog, but you're actually favored by FPI. So again, coin toss game. It's a must-win game. Also, I didn't want to say this before we hit the comments, Reagan. There's a little bit of a storyline here. We got BK
Oh, yes.
and we've
Oh,
got
boy.
Billy Napier.
Of course.
And I just want to say a quick message because I know we got a shorter show today. But listen, LSU fans, if LSU loses this game, please do
Oh,
not
my
lose your
gosh.
crap.
You know
And
they're going
say,
to do it.
well, we should have gotten Billy Napier. We
You
should
know
have
they're
got
going to
Billy
do it.
Napier. Let me tell you this. Florida was not put in the situation. Billy Napier was not put in the situation that Brian Kelly was. Florida was not down to 39 scholarship players. They just weren't. They were not. They were not down. They did not have it that bad. Okay. So I think given the situation, Brian Kelly has probably done a better job as compared to Billy Napier in their first years. With that being said, if LSU has to go into the swamp and play what is a inconsistent but has a high ceiling quarterback, I mean, he very well could get drafted after the season. Even though he's not having a great season, he has the tools. He has all that he checks the boxes for NFL quarterback. All that to say, if they go lose, we shouldn't be freaking out over Billy Napier
I
or Brian
swear,
Kelly.
if we lose and I start seeing all these stinking comments about Billy Napier should have been the guy, and LSU, Billy Napier passed on LSU to go to Florida. Oh,
They didn't.
Give me a freaking break.
But that is going to be a storyline.
We should have gone to Billy Napier. Yeah. You go hire. Gosh,
I really hope
Sunbelt over Brian Kelly. Gosh.
I really hope, Reagan, that we see Florida get out coached in this game, so it'll shut some of those people up.
Yeah,
and even some LSU media and some LSU beat writers as well.
Yeah, but anyway, who's that one dude who's doing the whole like Billy Napier BK count?
I think it's Glenn Gilbo or I can't
that guy. Oh my gosh, dude.
But yeah. All right. BK Takeover said on defense you have to stack the box, and with Converse and safety, I like his coverage ability. Of course, Pert and Brooks have to be in AR-15's pocket. Completely agree. He said, I noticed that JD very seldom looks to the left side of the field. He's not stepping up into the pocket. 5-step drops aren't the best for JD. Yeah, he's got to get better. He's got to get better. In this game, he has the potential because Florida's defense is not great. They're actually, compared to LSU, they're giving up 100 more yards per game. Tiger Den Sports said Daniels has to trust himself more and just let the ball go. I agree. The line has to give JD and receivers time to connect downfield. That again, why I'm excited that Will Campbell is back, as you should have more time in the pocket. This game.
Huge that he's back. It's huge.
Let's see what else. With Nuss as the number 3 QB, JD5 maybe more inclined to pass and take more chances. I would hope so. All right, let's see what else to say. Tiger Den Sports said, play disciplined defense, the same game plan we used against Mississippi State. We need to duplicate that. Yeah, I think LSU fans and maybe some of the media is kind of overlooking LSU State. Like, we beat them by 15, and State's a really good team.
Yeah, I feel like that's just been completely forgotten.
Like, they are going to beat – I think they're going to beat Kentucky. Like, they may – the only loss they may have may be to Bama. The rest of the way. Like, they could be a 10-2 team. Like, honestly. Like, I think they can beat Ole Miss. I think they can beat Kentucky. Depends on how healthy KJ Jefferson is. We're going to see. All right. Let's see. I don't know if we got any more else. Let's see.
The very last one there. Or the last two there.
I
agree. I said the same thing in my video. I don't want to hear if Florida wins. We should. Yes, people who do that are ignorant.
Yeah.
The people who do that.
You got to allow the process.
You got
to allow the process, man.
Yes, and you also have to take context in. I'm a pastor, and you know what people do so many times with Scripture is they pluck passages out of Scripture and completely take it way out of context and make it mean something completely different than what it actually means.
Yeah.
Same thing here. I muted myself. They will like say, "Oh, look, the one win, Billy Napier beat Brian Kelly the very first year." Like, do you not have to give a coach some time to develop his program, to build his culture. Context matters. Brian Kelly came in with a completely decimated roster. Like, we have to take that into our thought process when it comes to how we are, assessing the hires. You can't just say, oh, because very first year he lost to Billy Napier. Brian Kelly was Florida won that one. Billy Napier was the right hire. That's so ignorant. That is so ignorant.
I agree.
So I disregard all that. It irritates me, but I try to disregard it. But anyways, all right. We need to hit a quick break, Zach. Come back. We'll give our TA's tool for success
And our
to
prediction.
wrap up the show. 5-Star Hero, your intro and outro music for the Tigers Avenue show. They ain't ready for that LSU. Go check out all his other music on all the major platforms. Don't forget to follow him on Instagram at Saints Anthem and at Twitter at One Nation Doty. Don't forget to check out his Facebook page for all his Saints and LSU merchandise. Can't get any better than Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law. Her firm focuses on the needs of the elderly and maintaining their dignity throughout the process. Here for you, here for your family. Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law. All right, guys, here for our TA tools for success and prediction. Zach, what's your tools for success within this game, and what is your final prediction?
My TA tools for success, and I am going to continue to repeat this until LSU does it. I'm going to continue to repeat it until LSU does it. Do not start slow. If you start slow and you put yourself in a hole early like you have been doing, this is one of those games where it could get out of hand. It could get out of hand.
Yeah.
Because you're on the road, you're in a hostile environment. Florida, if they physically dominate you up front and you get down on yourself, it could get ugly. You cannot start slow. You have got to start fast. Go out, punch them in the mouth. Go be the first one to score. I'm not saying take the ball first.
I'm saying
go be the first one. Go
ball.
punch them in the mouth on defense and go score.
And then go score.
Like, I want to see that. I want to see LSU start fast. I want to see them start with some energy, some passion. Second thing is they need to establish the run. Offensively, they need to establish the run.
Yep.
I understand. We've said it here, and a lot of LSU fans, they want to see the receivers get going. I agree. But establish the run so that you can open up the passing game even more. On defense, get after the quarterback. Get pressure. Because Anthony Richardson is prone to turnovers. And this game could come down to a turnover or two. So get after him, pressure him, so that you force him into some certain situation with mistakes. So those are my TA tools for success. With all that being said, I mentioned at the beginning of the show that I feel confident about this game. Didn't feel confident about Tennessee. We saw how that turned out. I do feel confident about this game. I feel good about this game. Now, I could be completely wrong, and LSU comes out and they lay a goose egg and they lose. Or it's a very close battle and Florida wins that battle. That could be the case. With that being said, I feel like LSU wins this game. I really do. I think they go. I think it's a low scoring game because both offenses haven't been exceptionally great. I think it's a 24-21 win for the Tigers, and I'll take it. At this point, I'll take any win if they can go into the swamp, kill the Billy Napier narrative, go into a hostile on the road environment, get a win. And like I said earlier, this is a type of win that could help you get to 7-5, 8-4. It would be massive. So I do believe the Tigers win this weekend. And I sure hope I'm right after we had to suffer through last weekend.
Here's my tools for success. Number one, you have to, with them being one-dimensional, I think you got to, as a defense, force them into must-pass situations. If you force Florida into must-pass situations or obvious passing downs, you're going to be really, really successful on the defensive side of the ball. And you're going to hold them to a very low-scoring game. So stop the run, stop what they're good at, force them into obvious passing situations. Secondly, you got to limit special team mistakes. You got to limit special team mistakes and special team turnovers. You got to limit them in the swamp like this. Boy, it stunk to drop the opening kickoff last weekend. You dropped the opening kickoff, muff a punt, something like that in this game. Boy, the crowd's going to lose their mind. You have to limit special teams mistakes. Force them into obvious passing downs. Limit special teams mistakes. And lastly, my last tool for success is the coaching has to make better decisions when it comes to managing the game, as in, is this a go situation or is this not? They failed a lot last week, and honestly, that game looks like, and it was, a complete rout by Tennessee. That game could have been way closer than what it was. I mean, you went from a drop pass almost being 20-14 to, it ended up being 40-13. You almost had it, after everything going down 20-0, you almost pulled it back and were right back in it and would have got the crowd right back in it. But because of a few coaching mistakes and a drop, you allowed their offense to continue to excel and put your defense in compromising situations. So those are my three tools for success. All that being said, I think the defense has a great game. We'll have to see how the offense does on the road in a hostile environment. Obviously, against Auburn, they had a hard time. But I think the defense has a great game against this Florida offense, and I think LSU wins 24-14. I think you get a 10-point W in the swamp. These are our TAs. We need like a TAs, tools for success, and our predictions. So I'm really looking forward to it. If we win tomorrow, it'll be a big win. And obviously, like Zach said, this is kind of a crucial turning point in the season. You just really got your teeth kicked in by Tennessee. If you can respond with a great win in the swamp, you can continue a path towards a successful and I think appropriate first season for Brian Kelly, considering the roster and considering what he had to do to get the roster where he needed to be. If you win this game and you go on to win a few more games and get to 8-4 and then win a bowl game to get to 9, I think I think that's an ideal start for Brian Kelly and his tenure at LSU. So Zach, real quick, and then we'll hit the break and wrap it up. The Stephen A. Smith stuff this week, clearly the dude has not paid attention to anything at all with LSU. I don't know if you saw that or not, but the dude literally said he thought he was hearing that the players didn't like Brian Kelly and that the administration did not like Brian Kelly. Like, are you kidding me? Scott Woodward went through this whole process of hiring this guy and all this. Like, he's completely out of touch. The fact that
I did not know that. You're going to send that to me.
The fact that Stephen A. Smith said Brian Kelly, that the administration doesn't like Brian Kelly, considering how Scott Woodward and Tate Williams and Brian Kelly has said like the entire time, the alignment of the program, the alignment of LSU, everything is aligned. He's talking about Tate Williams. He's talking about Scott Woodward and all of them being on the same page and everything. So the fact that Stephen A. said that, way out of touch, has no idea what he's talking about. And I just wanted to point that out there because I had
definitely send that to me. I want to hear that.
Okay, yeah. Paul Finbaum kind of corrected him and was like, "Hey, you kind of need give the guy the benefit of the doubt. And I don't think you know what you're talking about." Is essentially what Paul Finbaum said to Stephen A. So Anyways, yeah. Let's hit a quick break, and then we'll come back, and we'll wrap the show up right after this. Make sure you go follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Tigers Avenue, for daily updates on the show and all things LSU sports. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to click off and hit that subscribe button at Tigers Avenue. We broadcast all of our shows live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. All right, everybody. Appreciate all y'all coming in here, commenting, interacting. You know we always enjoy it. Man, it's a big game tomorrow. I hope the Tigers can get it done so we can celebrate another big victory. And I also absolutely hate the Florida Gators. I hate them. I want to beat them like a drum every single year. I can't stand the Florida Gators. I just cannot. Their fan base irritates me. I do love this rivalry, but I hate the Florida Gators. I just hate them. So I really hope we can go in there and beat them tomorrow. All right, guys, y'all go enjoy some Friday Night Football, maybe some October baseball. That's rolling tonight. I know the Padres and the Dodgers about to get the first pitch here in a little while. So y'all enjoy your Friday nights. We'll catch you next time here in the Tigers Avenue. 5-Star Hero, take us out. Peace.
Who that 5-star? And the LSU Tigers, LSU Tigers.